After his marriage, Haruki Murakami moved in with his wife's parents. This was before he graduated from university. Then, he started looking for a job. At first, I went around to a few TV stations that I had connections with, thinking that I could get a job, but the work was so ridiculous that I decided not to. I didn't want to be a part of the system or wear a suit and work for the company. I wanted to do a proper job by myself, even if it was in a small shop. I wanted a job where I could choose the materials with my own hands, make things with my own hands, and serve them to customers with my own hands. But in the end, the only thing I could do was run a jazz cafe. Anyway, I loved jazz and wanted to do something related to it, even if only a little. He left his wife's parents' house and opened a jazz club called Peter Cat in Kokubunji, Tokyo. I wanted to be independent in my own way, so I opened a small jazz cafe. At that time, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, and I didn't think I had the talent to write anything. What kind of cafe was it? It was a coffee shop by day and a bar by night. It also served a good amount of food, and on weekends I put on a program of live music. Such a cafe was still rare at the time, so I had a steady stream of customers, and the business was doing well. Incidentally, the grand piano that was in the cafe at the time was donated to the Haruki Murakami Library at Waseda University. It seems that Haruki Murakami himself made cocktails and cabbage rolls and also served customers. I greeted customers with a smile when they came in and made small talk with regular customers. I thought, I'm not really suited for this kind of work, but I did my best to make a living. Looking back on it now, I'm impressed that I was unusually sociable for me back then. However, when I meet my acquaintances from those days, after a long time, they often say, "You were really unsociable in the past. You hardly talked at all." Around this time, Haruki Murakami contributed an article as a jazz cafe owner to the first issue of a jazz-related magazine. The title of the article is Questions and Answers for Becoming a Jazz Cafe Master. This was before he started writing novels. I'd like to start a jazz cafe, but what is the most important quality required? The ability to act fearlessly. Then what is the least necessary? Intelligence. I am currently enrolled in a university. Should I graduate? Speaking from experience, the cover of the diploma is perfect for the menu. I often hear that the masters of jazz cafes are popular with women. In such a case, is it okay to have a romantic relationship with a female customer? You don't have to worry about it, because the masters of jazz cafes are not popular with women. How many records do I need to open a jazz cafe? If you are brave enough, you can open a jazz cafe with 15 records. Every time I go to famous jazz cafes and see the record shelves and audio equipment, I get depressed and feel like I can't open a jazz cafe. It's wrong to go to such places. Come to Kokubunji. I'm going to serve alcohol, but what should I do if someone gets drunk and starts making noise? There was once a movie called Mutiny on the Bounty. In that movie, all the heretics were thrown off the ship. I don't like Coltrane's A Love Supreme, so I'm not going to keep it in my cafe. But my friend says that a jazz cafe without it is worthless. You don't want to deal with idiots. Haruki Murakami seems to have been writing with a very good sense of humor even back then. The jazz cafe is moving to Sendagaya. The cafe was in the basement of a building at the south exit of Kokubunji for about 3 years. The owner of the building suddenly asked me to leave because he wanted to expand the building, so I had no choice but to leave Kokubunji and move to Sendagaya in Tokyo. Gradually, the business stabilizes, and all debts are paid off. While I was working selflessly, I gradually became profitable by hiring people. And by the time I was in my late 20s, the management of the cafe finally stabilized. I had finally climbed one of the steepest staircases in my life and found myself in a slightly more open area, and I felt confident that once I had reached this point, I would be able to get through the rest. Lastly, I would like to share a little about graduating from university. Haruki Murakami graduated from university after he started working. The title of his graduation thesis was The Genealogy of Travel in American Cinema. I just put what I was thinking at that time into writing form. Americans are always looking for the frontier or the unknown. Or to put it another way, they are afraid of being fixed. I have always felt that this is both a strength and a weakness of American culture. I was thinking about this when I was a student, and I wrote my graduation thesis about it. I got an A+ grade, and my thesis advisor told me, "You should become a writer." In the next video, I will introduce his debut as a novelist.